Joining us. We are Shalom, and thank you for joining us for our weekly Torah class. Tonight we're going to study Behaalotekha. That's Numbers 8, chapter 1 through chapter 12, verse 16. We will begin here shortly.
Well, good evening. This is another wonderful Tuesday evening Torah class, and I'm so glad you decided to join us. We're going to have a good time tonight. We're going to talk about lighting things up. You know that the Torah, it says, is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Amen. And so therefore we'll know how to walk safely and not be stumbling across all those chug holes we find like they have here in Austin on the streets.
Don't I know it?
Yeah.
Don't I know it?
So we'll be opening the scriptures here in one moment. Just want you to get comfortable. If you hadn't got one yet, get yourself a nice ROC Coca-Cola or a glass of water or tea or something to sit back and enjoy while we're studying, and make sure you have some notepad out and a nice writing surface so you can take a lot of good notes. All right, so we're going to start off with some prayer as usual. Father God, we come together in your presence on this Tuesday night to study your Torah. Lord, you gave us the Torah, and we're so glad you did. You gave us the instructions so we can learn how to overcome all of our adversaries. And that includes today. Yes, we have adversaries today, Lord, but they are weak and defeated by you. Hallelujah. Thanks to your Torah and thanks to Yeshua the Messiah. And we are the victors in the Messiah Yeshua. Hallelujah. So we come together now to learn and study your word and see how to operate in your realm and in your kingdom so that we can have complete and total victory over all demons and all witchcraft and all disease and sickness, and that there's nothing that will stand against us. The Word of God says, no weapon formed against us shall prosper. So we will stand and overcome and pour out as long as you give us the grace to do it, Lord. And we thank you for it, Lord. Thank you for assigning us to this place and this time and this season. And we ask you, Lord, to let us be successful for you in your kingdom. Everybody say, Lord, I'm hungry.
Lord, I'm hungry.
I ask you to feed me tonight. This is my double weekly portion of Torah.
This is my double weekly portion of Torah.
Help it to satisfy my soul.
Help to satisfy my soul.
And I ask you for living water, Lord,
And I ask for living water, Lord,
that you'll pour it out into me
that you pour it out into me,
so that I'll have plenty to give to others.
so I'll have plenty to give to others.
In the name of Messiah Yeshua.
In the name of Messiah Yeshua.
Amen. Baruch Hashem. You may be seated. Well, as our lovely announcer said a few minutes ago, we're studying the Torah Parashat tonight called Behaalotekha. And that means when in your lighting of the menorah, the nerot on the menorah. So God is giving us some instructions. He gave us a lot of things to make, didn't he, for the shulchan, for the implements inside the holy place and the Holy of Holies. And so we have been putting it all together. Now he's giving us instruction on how to use these things. So in verse 1, we'll go up one verse, and it says, Vaydaber Yahweh el Moshe lemor. So almost every parsha lately has started with that phrase. And the word of Yahweh to Moses. He says, speak unto Aharon and say unto him, in your lighting of the lamps over against the candlesticks, the menorah, it shall give light in the 7 lamps. So the lighting that he's going to be doing is going to cause those 7 lamps to put forth their light. So this is the work of the candlestick. Was beaten gold unto the shaft thereof, and unto the flowers thereof. It was beaten work, according to the pattern, or the design, which he showed, which Yahweh showed unto Moses. So he made the candlesticks. And Yahweh spoke unto Moses, saying, take the Levites from among the children of Israel and cleanse them. Now, why does God put lighting the menorah first and then introduce cleansing the children of Israel, the Leviim, the Levites, for the work of the temple?
So they come into the light?
That's good. Okay. That's a guess, but it's good.
Yeah.
So that's as good as anybody else's. I didn't hear anybody else's out there get any louder. Okay. I believe it's because the Levites are the source of light for the children of Israel, just like the oil is the source of light for the menorah. And so lighting the nerot, the candles, the lamps, on the menorah is the same thing as setting up the children of the tribes of Levi, the tribe of Levi, for the work of the temple and the ministry. Who's included in the tribe of Levi? It would be the priesthood, and it would be the families of the Levites, and it would be the families of the rest of the families of Levi. So, they're supposed to take the children from among the Levites, the children of Israel, and cleanse them. And thus, let's go back up one. And thus you shall do unto them to cleanse them. You will sprinkle upon them the water of purifying, and let them shave all of their flesh, and let them wash their clothes, and so make themselves clean. So they're not clean unless their clothes are clean. They're not clean unless they've washed their own flesh. Basar up here in the middle of this verse is their flesh. Basaram, their flesh. And let them shave off all the hair, all their flesh, and sprinkle on them the purifying of water. So there are several steps that God wants us to go through in the purifying or cleansing process. Does that mean that there's more than one step for all of us to go through when we become purified and cleansed to enter His service under Messiah?
I think so.
I would say this is an image of that act. So coming into being clean under Messiah requires some steps. What steps do you know of that we have to take in order to be cleansed under Messiah? Repentance, okay. What else? Confession, okay. What else? Sacrifice. And what sacrifice do we have today? That's right. Yeshua is our sin sacrifice. And what else? Mikvah. Good. Now, why do you suppose God wants us to undergo a ritual mikvah before entering fully into the service under Messiah?
That's an
I'm not quite understanding you. I'm waiting. In Chinese, it's chin chin hu, chin chin hu.
Chin
Waiting
chin
and
hu.
waiting.
Waiting and waiting. Huh, now I know that. So I will repeat what I said as best as I recall it. there's a spiritual picture of how we are going to be purified in Rabbah, the days to come. And what has to be here in the earth, as it would be in the spirit, there's an element of the water has to match a certain outline, as it's outlined in Torah, as it's outlined in your yesterday lesson. For the mikvah, it can't be wild water, it has to be calm. There's a process to the mikvah. It's a process of becoming clean. And I'm trying to give a context, the long answer. The short answer is take a bath in God's eyes the way he wants you to take one. Before heading into his home, you're cleaning yourself up before you come in as a dirty child.
Exactly. You remember the story of the prodigal son?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He went away, sold all his possessions,
Yep.
and left and went to a far country. And while he was there was a famine in the country, and he began to be in want. Where was he? What was he doing, and what was his purpose there? What was he doing there, and how did he decide finally to come out of it?
What was he doing there?
Yeah.
Well, he went there just to spend all what he had his father give.
So he went there and spent every
Everything.
penny that he got from his father.
Yeah.
And that was his sum total of his inheritance,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Okay. So then he began to be in want. So what was he doing then?
Well, he used up everything, and then he had nothing.
So where did he go?
Yeah, he went back to his dad.
No, before that.
Oh, before that. Oh man, I
Hog
can't
trough.
remember. Did he?
To a pig farmer.
That's right.
What did Jews think of pigs?
The scum.
Oi, gewalt. That's what they think of pigs. So he got to thinking to himself, man, all of my father's servants have plenty to eat and plenty to drink and plenty to wear, and they are so much better off than I am. I'm going to go back to my father, and I'm going to tell him that I'm not worthy to be his son, and ask him if he will just give me a job,
To be a servant.
just so I can earn some money for food and clothing and be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's going back to his father, and while he's still a long ways away, his father sees him coming, and what does he do? He jumps over the fence and starts running towards his son, and he's so excited. And then he brings him home, and he puts a new robe on him and a new ring and puts on these sandals. And then he breaks out the fatted calf, and he has a party, big barbecue in the backyard. This is called the Shalom offering. And he's in the backyard with all of his friends, and they're making music and dancing and singing. And his older brother was out in the field working. And he heard the music and the dancing and said, "What in the world is this?" And one of the servants said, "Your brother has come home, and your father is rejoicing because he's alive." And he got mad and wouldn't go into the party. He said, "Well, he never even offered a bullock for me, not even a lamb, nothing for me. So I don't want to go in there." He's stolen the inheritance and spent it all on riotous living. And so, you know the story pretty well, I guess, that by the time it's all over with, the father had to go out and talk to the oldest son.
Mm-hmm.
And what did he tell him? He said, "You've always been with me, son. And
Everything that's mine is yours.
I've known that everything you are doing and about is okay. And I know that everything of mine that you are taking care of is okay.
Yep.
So come in and rejoice. Your brother was dead and now he's alive.
Mm-hmm.
He was lost and he's become
been
found. So come in and rejoice with us that your brother's alive." And he said, "All that I have belongs to you, not this younger son that went away.
Mm-hmm.
He's already spent his inheritance.
Yep.
But I can throw a party for him,
Yeah.
but he doesn't get any more than that.
Yeah.
You get the whole bailiwick."
Mm-hmm. He came back.
Mhm.
He came back
So we can see in that prodigal son story that that there's a benefit to serving the Father, and that the Father has a reward for us. We may not see it yet, but we will. So, of course, go ahead, Larry.
Got a small question. What's the symbolics of shaving?
Shaving in the cleansing of the Levites.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the symbolism is that you are cutting all the hair off your body. You're becoming like a young child that doesn't have any rights or privileges. And once the hair grows back, then you have become a true son.
That include the Kohen?
Yeah.
That was the same thing for the Nazarite too, huh?
Yes,
They had to shave everything. They had to
that's
shave.
right. Good
They-
points.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they had to shave. Good idea.
Anything else, Mr. Spears?
Not at this time.
Okay. So they have to shave all of their flesh, even off their toes.
Everything.
Every hair on your body has to be shaved off.
Ooh, man.
And let them wash their clothes. Why do you think God would want them to wash their clothes?
Well, it has to be clean too. It has to be purified.
Yeah, if you got dirty clothes on it, you've been cleansed, but you've got dirty clothes on, then you're not fully cleansed,
Yeah,
are
you're
you?
doing you're being chosen.
Who knows? You might even be stinking. Maybe you've been serving out on the side of the road cleaning up dead
Well,
dogs
shoot,
or
they're
something.
They're outside all the time.
Yes.
So,
Think they might perspire a little bit.
yeah.
And they didn't have Old Spice back then.
No, they sure didn't.
So what are they going to do? They're going to try not to get all sweaty after they've been bathed and washed their clothes. And then they make themselves clean. And then we go down to verse 8.
Dirty clothes will make you dirty.
That's right. Let them take a bullock, a young bull from the son of the bakar, of the flock, of the herd rather, with his meat offering, that's the grain offering, of fine flour mingled with oil, and another bullock, a young bakar, you shall take for a sin offering. So there's two bulls then, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the first one?
And another young bull for sin. So one is for a cereal offering. Another's for a sin offering.
Right? It tells you here in just a moment that they're to take this young bullock with his meat offering. That's the first one. And the fine flour mingled with oil, and a bullock, another young one, you shall take for a sin offering. And then verse 9, you shall bring the Levites before the tabernacle of the congregation, or the appointments, and you shall gather together the whole assembly of the children of Israel. And then you shall bring the Levites before Yahweh, and shall put the children of Israel hands upon the Levites. Now this is called smicha. Smicha. Let's see, right up here. Smicha. Samchu. V'samchu. Smicha means the laying on of hands. Samchu is y'all shall put all your hands on the children of Israel upon the heads of the Levites. Why? What do they do when they put their hands on the heads of the sacrifices? What are they doing for the Levites? The Levites are not going to receive the sin sacrifice, the sins for the people, because they're not the sin sacrifice. So what is their sacrifice in their nature?
Was it so? And putting their hands on them was to recognize for one that they've been separated, I mean, that God has separated.
God chose the Levites, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Now Israel is choosing the Levites.
Right, okay.
They're putting their hands on their
By putting
heads
their hands on them, they're recognizing that they've
so
been
that
chosen.
they recognize that it were not for the Levites, all the firstborn of Israel would die. Because God was redeeming them right there with the children of Levi.
And he did say something about also so there won't be any plague.
Well, there is a sin offering coming up.
That's right, there's the sin.
So we have to lay our hands on the sin offering and confess our sins, but this is a dedication of the Levites in lieu of the firstborn of the rest of the children of Israel.
In recognition of their work,
Mm-hmm.
what they've been chosen for. Makes sense.
Let's go down to verse
That was
11.
a lot of hands.
Yeah, it is.
Ooh, wow.
Hey, Neph. Let me look that one up because I didn't get that word looked up earlier. Neph. A primitive root to quiver, to vibrate up and down. Or, hey, that's a Pentecostal shake, isn't it?
Vibrate up and down, like too.
Or to rock to and fro, used in a great variety of applications. Sprinkling, beckoning, rubbing, best in doing, best in doing. What is that word? Sawing, waving, lift up, move off, move over for fumes, send, shake, sift, strike, and wave. Okay, so it's a lot of whole lot of wave going on. Isn't that the wave offering? And Aaron shall offer the Levites an offering before Yahweh of the children of Israel, that they may execute the service of Yahweh. And here is another instance of the same word, tenufa. The te on the front is you shall wave or shake or offer this wave offering before Yahweh of the children of Israel, and they may execute the service of Yahweh. So Aaron is supposed to take these Levites and to offer them as a wave offering before the Lord. Man, the first time I read that, I thought, what's he going to do? Is he going to take the Levites and individually pick them up and wave them before Yahweh? But I think that he had the Levites do the waving here. I had a guy joking with me. He said, we're going to offer a wave offering unto the Lord. So everybody wave. Yeah, well, it was a joke, but it's probably closer to the way it happened.
Yeah.
There were how many hundred thousands of males of the tribes of Levi that were offered into the Lord? A lot of them, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And the Levites will lay their hands upon the heads of the bullocks. And you shall offer the one for a sin offering, and the other for an olah, a burnt offering, ascension offering, to make atonement for the Levites. So it's a kapar, a covering for the Levites.
Rabbi,
Mm-hmm.
did all the Levites have to take and lay their hands on that one bull?
Yeah.
So it must have been a nice long line.
Well, maybe they just reached out and touched the person in front of them as they were all reaching forward and laying their hands on the head of the bull.
Actually, mine says bulls, plural.
There are two of them. One's for the sin offering, one's for the ascension offering.
Okay.
And Aaron might be doing it on behalf of all the Levites, just like the Levites are going to be doing it on behalf of all the firstborn of Israel, you see? So we don't know exactly the intention of how that was carried out.
Yeah.
All we know is they did it. You shall set the Levites before Aaron and before his sons, and offer them an offering unto Yahweh. And there's that same word again, naphta. And you shall wave them. That's an offering. And there it is again. So you got 1, 2, 2 more appearances of the naphta, or napha. And you shall separate the Levites from among the children of Israel, and shall be mine. The Levites are to be mine. And after that, YHWH, he shall go in, and who is the he? The males of the tribe of Levi, to serve in the tabernacle of the appointments, and ye shall cleanse them and offer, and there's that word again, napha, hey napha, naphta, here on this one, and ye shall hey naphta tanufa. Tanufa is a shaking offering. For all the firstborn of the children of Israel are mine, man and beast, on the day that I smote every firstborn in the land of Egypt, and I sanctified them for myself. I have taken the Levites for all of the firstborn of the children of Israel. That's the bikur, and have given the Levites as a gift to Aaron and to his sons from among the children of Israel to do the service of the children of Israel in the tabernacle of the congregation or the appointments, and to make an atonement for the children of Israel, that there might be no plague among the children of Israel, and when the children of Israel come into the sanctuary. And so Moses and Aaron did, and all the congregation of the children of Israel did to the Levites according to all that Yahweh had commanded them. Moses commanded Moses, and concerning the Levites, so they did to them, the children of Israel. That's mighty nice of them, isn't it? The Levites were purified, and they washed their clothes and offered them an offering before, a shaking offering, a wave offering before Yahweh, and to make atonement, a kafar, a covering for them, Aaron did to cleanse them. And the Levites were purified, and they washed their clothes and Aaron offered them as an offering as the wave offering before Yahweh, and made atonement for them. And so Aaron did to cleanse them. And after that, they went into the Levites went in to do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation before Aaron and before his sons, as he had commanded Yahweh, Moses, concerning the Levites. So they did unto them. Yahweh spoke unto Moses, saying, this is that belongs unto the Levites from an age of 5 and 25 years and upward. They shall go in to wait upon the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. So from 25 years old and on, up to 50, they would go in and do the service of the tabernacle. What did they do once they reached 50? Did they just quit?
Well, there has to be a cutoff. I mean, they are older.
Yeah.
Well, 50's not that old, though. I mean, they'll be young, pretty strong, but...
Well, according to the Torah, they're no longer required to go in and do service. But what did God use them for after that? to teach the younger ones how to do the
That would
service.
make sense, yeah.
Yeah, because they've been there.
Because it's there has to be from generation to generation.
Right, so they've been actively doing this. Who's better to teach the younger ones how to do this job?
Than the ones that are already 50, right. That makes perfect sense, yes.
Yeah.
And the ones that are 25, they're a little bit more mature.
Okay. From an age of 50 years, they shall cease waiting upon the service and shall not serve any more, but shall minister with their brothers in the tabernacle of the congregation to keep charge and service. No, thus they shall not do. You do unto the Levites touching or regarding their charge, their service.
So that'd be like the trainers, the ones training the younger ones, it seems like.
Touching their charge. It's from the root shomer, to guard, keep, protect, to present. So this is what the Levites are supposed to do when they reach 50. They're no longer required to do the service, but they are still to keep charge and to keep watch to make sure everything's going the way God wanted it to go.
Right, and they don't get what do you call it, in trouble.
Right. Chapter 9, beginning in verse 1. Yahweh spoke unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, B'Shana Hashanit. So God spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai in the second year after they came out of the land of Egypt, B'Chodesh Rishon, in the beginning of the month, saying, in the beginning of the month of coming out, saying, Ya'asu B'nai Yisrael, let the children of Israel keep or make or do the Passover. B'moado, in its appointed time. The moad, appointments. Okay. Verse 3. This is still helping to learn the Hebrew, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And the word of Moses unto the children of Israel that they should keep the Passover. And they kept Passover of the first, was Berishon, the 14th, on the 14th day of the month, at evening. Now this word at evening is not really the word at evening. That's a translation, and it's not accurate. It's Bain Ha'eravim. See that?
Mm-hmm.
Between evenings.
Mm-hmm.
There we go again.
There we go. Now you can see it. At evening should be between evenings. If they're going to celebrate Passover on the 14th day at evening, and they wait until sunset to sacrifice the lambs, when are they going to get to cook it?
Oh, wow.
So there's got to be some preparation work and cooking being done to celebrate Pesach. So what happens between the evenings is the slaughter of the lamb. And that's when Yeshua was slaughtered.
Between evenings.
Yeah. So anyway, I just think that's interesting that they would change that. Well, come on, let's get back here. There we go. So it's between evenings in the wilderness of Sinai, according to all that was commanded, that Yahweh commanded Moses, so the children of Israel did. And there were men who were defiled. What's it mean to be defiled?
You're not clean to go
Yeah,
outside.
clean. You just touched
Yeah.
something that was,
How were they defiled?
they touched the dead body.
By the dead body of a man. They could not keep the Passover. On that day they came before Moshe and before Aaron, and on that day, on that day, yeah. And they said, those men said unto him, we are defiled by a dead body of a man, wherefore, lama. What are we supposed to do? Are we to keep back and not? We may not offer an offering to Yahweh in its appointed season among the children of Israel. So they said, well, this doesn't seem right. Somebody had to take care of those dead bodies. Right?
Mm.
So we're going to go to verse 8. And Moses said unto them, stand still, and I will hear what Yahweh commands concerning you. That's a good idea. Ask God what he wants.
Yep.
Gee, what a unique and wonderful concept.
Yep. Funny that was so true today. Oh.
Yeah.
No, she just said right.
Oh. Verse 9. Vaydaber Yahweh el Moshe lemor, daber el bnei Israel. God said to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel, saying, Ish ki yiyeh tameh la nafesh o baderek ruchak lachem o. I'm going to lose the concept here. Go back and get it here before we go further. The word unto the children of Israel, saying, any man, if he shall be unclean, now that's ish, no matter who the man is. If he shall be unclean by reason of a dead body, a nephesh, the soul of a man, or baderek, on a journey, rochak, That's hard to say. I'm not used to the vowels being put together in that order by being an American speaker. Okay, that's a little tough. Rechoka. That's it. Rechoka. If he's in a journey on a far trip, if any of you or your posterity, he shall keep the Passover unto Yahweh. In the second month he shall keep it. Verse 11. B'chodesh sheni. B'chodesh hasheni, the second month. B'arba asar yom, on the 14th day. Bein ha'aravim, between the evenings. They shall keep it with matzot, unleavened bread, marorim is the bitter herbs, maror, ochelchu, they shall eat it. None of it shall they leave of it unto the morning. Any bone or break of it according to all the ordinances of Passover, they shall keep it. But the man that is clean, tahor, clean, and on a journey journey's not, if he's clean and in a journey, is not to forbear to keep the Passover. In other words, he's not to delay it. Even he shall be cut off that soul, the same soul from among his people, because the offering of Yahweh he did not bring in its appointed season. His sin shall he bear himself. And if a sojourner among you, a stranger, and will keep the Passover unto Yahweh according to the ordinance of the Passover, and according to the manner thereof, so shall he do the ordinance. One shall have a stranger. This is clumsy reading. I'm going to get back into an English translation here. This is continuing 14. It wants to observe Pesach for Adonai. He is to do it according to the regulations and rules of Pesach. You are to have the same law for the foreigner. Ho, 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 ho. The same law for the foreigner as for the citizen of the land.
So this proves that even the foreigner got to participate in Passover.
Yeah, everybody did. On the day the tabernacle was put up, the cloud covered the tabernacle, that is the tent of the testimony, and in the evening over the tabernacle was what appeared to be fire, which remained until morning. So the cloud was always covered it. And it looked like a fire at night. Whenever the cloud was taken up from above the tent, the people of Israel continued their journey, their travels. They camped wherever the cloud stopped. And at the order of Yahweh, the people of Israel traveled, and at the order of Yahweh they camped. As long as the cloud stayed over the tabernacle, they stayed in camp. Even when the cloud remained on the tabernacle for a long time, the people of Israel did what Yahweh charged them to do and did not travel. Sometimes the cloud was a few days over the tabernacle according to Yahweh's orders, and they remained in the camp according to Yahweh's orders. They traveled. So sometimes the cloud was there only from evening until morning, so that when the cloud was taken up in the morning, they traveled, or even if it continued up both day and night, then the cloud was up, they traveled. Whether it was 2 days, a month, or a year that the cloud remained over the tabernacle, staying on it, the people of Israel remained in camp and did not travel, but as soon as it was taken up, they traveled. At Yahweh's order they camped, and at Yahweh's order they traveled. They did what Yahweh had charged them to do through Moses. Interesting, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 10. Yahweh said to Moses, make 2 trumpets, make them of hammered silver. So these are not shofars. Use them for summoning the community and for sounding the call to break camp and move on. And when they are sounded, the entire community is to assemble before you at the entrance to the tent of the meeting. If only one is sounded, then just the leaders, the heads of the clans of Israel, are to assemble before you. When you sound the alarm, the camps on the east end will commence traveling, and when you sound the second alarm, the camps to the south will set out, and they will sound alarms to announce when to travel. However, when the community is to be assembled, you are to sound, but you don't sound an alarm. It will be the sons of Aaron, the Kohanim, who are to sound the trumpets, and this will be a permanent regulation for you throughout your generations. When you go to war in your land against an adversary who is oppressing you, you are to sound an alarm with the trumpets, and then you will be remembered before Yahweh your God, and you will be saved from your enemies. Also, in your days of rejoicing at your designated times and on the Rosh Chodesh, you are to sound the trumpets over your burnt offerings, over your sacrifices of your peace offerings, and these will be your reminder before your God that I am Yahweh your God. On the 20th day of the second month of the second year, the cloud was taken up from over the tabernacle of the testimony, and the people of Israel moved out in stages from Sinai desert. The cloud stopped in the Paran desert. So they set out on their first journey to keep in keeping with Yahweh's order through Moses. And in the lead was the banner of the camp of the descendants of Yehudah. Why? Because praise shall go forth first in your battles and as you're journeying. Those companies moved forward. Over his company was Nachsan, the son of Aminadab. Over the company of the tribe of descendants of Issachar was Nathaniel, the son of Tzuar. Over the company of the descendants of Zebulun were Eliab, the son of Helon. The tabernacle was taken down, and the descendants of Gershon and the descendants of Merari set out carrying the tabernacle. So when the tabernacle was taken down, the descendants of Gershon and Merari set out carrying the tabernacles. Verse 18, and the banner of the camp of Reuven moved forward by companies. Over his company was Elitzur, the son of Shediur. Over the company of the tribe of the descendants of Shimon was Shlumiel, the son of Zurishadai. Over the company of the descendants of Gad was Eliasaph, the son of Duel. The descendants of Kahat set out carrying the sanctuary so that the next camp, the tabernacle, could be set up before they arrived. It's interesting. The banner of the camp of the descendants of Ephraim moved forward by companies. Over his company was Elishama, the son of Amminahud. Over the company of the tribe of the descendants of Manasseh was Gemiel, son of Pedathur. Over the company of descendants of Benjamin was Avidan, the son of Gidoni. The banner of the camp of the descendants of Dan, forming the rear guard for all camps, moved forward by companies. Over his company was Achiser, the son of Ammishaddai. Over the company of the tribe of descendants of Asher was Pagiel, the son of Ochran. Over the company of the descendants of Naphtali was Ahira, the son of Enan. And this is how the people of Israel traveled, by companies, and thus they moved forward. Moses said to Haro, son of Ruel, the Midani, Moshe's father-in-law, so Hovav was the son of Ruel, the Midiani, Moshe's father-in-law. We are traveling to the place about which Yahweh said, I will give it to you. Come with us and we will treat you well, because Yahweh has promised good things to Israel. But he replied, I will not go. I would rather go back to my own country, to my own kinsmen. Moses continued, please don't leave us, because you know that we have to camp in the desert, and you can serve as our eyes. If you do go with us, then whatever good Yahweh does for us, we will do the same for you. So they set out from Adonai's mountain and traveled for 3 days. Ahead of them on the 3-day journey went the ark of Yahweh's covenant, searching for a new place to stop. The cloud of Adonai was over them during the day as they set out from camp, and when the ark moved forward, Moses said, Kuma Adonai v'yafutzu oyevecha. Arise, Yahweh, may your enemies be scattered. Oh, you don't believe that's what it actually says in Hebrew? Well, let me just, I got to show you. You'll allow me a moment's
I've already
vanity.
got that part in that song.
You'll let me experience a little moment of vanity, won't you? And it was when the ark was set forward that Moses
Said,
Kuma, rise up, Yahweh. Vayomer Moses, that Moses would say, Kuma Yahweh, Kuma Adonai v'yafutzu v'yavecha. Right? That's what it says here. Kuma
Kuma,
Yahweh
Yahweh,
v'yafutzu
Vayavek,
v'yavecha. Vayanusu, that means to make the cause to flee. Messianic, those that hate you before you. Let flee those who hate you before you. And then the next part is, when it rested, he said, Shuva Yahweh Revuot, to the many Elaphe, the thousands of Israel, the many thousands of Israel. So I just had to show you I knew that.
Mm-hmm.
But you knew that too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to chapter 10, verse 35 and 36. Then we go down to chapter 11, verse 1. But the people began to complain about their hardships to Yahweh.
Mm-mm.
When Yahweh heard it, his anger flared up, and so that the fire from Yahweh broke out against them and consumed the outskirts of the camp. Then the people cried unto Moses, and Moses prayed to Yahweh, and the fire abated. That place was called Taberah, the burning, because Adonai's fire broke out against them. Next, the mixed crowd that was with them grew greedy for an easier life. So this is the Egyptians. And while the people of Israel, for their part, also renewed their weeping and said, if only we had meat to eat. We remember the fish that we used to eat at the Egyptian restaurants along the Nile. Nice atmosphere with palm trees.
Mm-hmm.
It costs us nothing.
Right.
And the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic. But now we're withering away. We have nothing to look at but this man. What is man? What is it? I don't know. It's little seed-like things that fall out of the sky, you know.
A man.
Manna. Mm-hmm. Verse 7, man, by the way, was like coriander seed and white like a gum resin. The people would go around gathering it and grind it up in the mills or pound it to paste with a mortar and pestle. Then they would cook it in pots and make it into loaves that tasted like cakes baked with olive oil. And when the dew settled on the camp during the night, man came with it. Moses heard the people crying. Family after family, each person at the entrance of his tent. The anger of Yahweh flared up violently, and Moshe was displeased. And Moshe asked Yahweh, why are you treating your servant so badly? Why haven't I found favor in your sight, so you put the burden of this entire people on me? Did you conceive these people?
Did I?
Or did I conceive these people? Was I their father, so that you tell me, carry them in your arms like a nurse carrying a baby to the land you swore to their ancestors? Where am I going to get meat to give this entire people? Because they keep bothering me with their crying and saying, give us meat to eat. I can't carry this entire people by myself, libado, by myself alone. That's a phrase in Hebrew. It means by myself alone. It's too much for me. If you're going to treat me this way, just kill me outright. Please, if you have any mercy towards me, and don't let me go on being this miserable. Tell the people, consecrate yourself tomorrow, and you will eat meat, because you cried in the ears of Yahweh. If only we had meat to eat, and you will eat it. You won't eat it just 1 day or 2 days or 5 days or 10 days or 20 days, but a whole month until it comes out of your nose and you hate it because you have rejected Yahweh who is here with you and distressed him with your crying and asking, why did we ever leave Egypt? But Moses said, here I am with 600,000 men on foot, and you say I will give them meat for a whole month? If the whole flocks and herds were slaughtered for them, would it be enough? Even if all the fish in the sea were collected for them, would that be enough? Yahweh answered Moses, has Yahweh's arm grown short? Now you will see whether what I said will happen or not. Moses went out and told the people what Yahweh said, and he collected 70 leaders of the people, placed them all around the tent. Yahweh came down in the cloud and spoke to him, and took some of the spirit that was on him and put them on the 70 leaders. And when the spirit came to rest on them, they prophesied then, but not afterwards. So only while this was happening, they were prophesying. There were 2 men who stayed in the camp, one named Eliad and the other Medad. And the Spirit came to rest upon them, and they were among those listed to go out to the tent. But they hadn't done so, and they prophesied in the camp. And a young man ran and told Moses, Eliad and Medad are prophesying in the camp. Yehoshua, the son of Nun, who is from his youth up, had been Moshe's assistant, answered, my Lord, Moshe, stop them. My Lord, Moshe, stop them. But Moshe replied, are you so zealous to protect me? I wish all of Yahweh's people were prophets. I wish Yahweh would put his spirit on all of them.
Amen.
And Moses and the
Aren't
leaders...
we supposed to be a nation of priests?
Yes, that's right. Oh, you pointing to me or the book?
I'm making a connection there.
Yeah, exactly. Moses and the leaders of Israel went back into the camp, and Yahweh set out a wind which brought quails from across the sea, and let them fall near the camp, about a day's trip away from each side of the camp, and all around, covering the ground to a depth of 3 feet. That's a lot of quail. The people stayed up all that night and all the next day gathering the quails, and the person gathering the least collected 10 heaps, and then they spread them out for themselves all around the camp, but while the meat was still in their mouth before they could chew it up, the anger of Yahweh flared up against the people, and Yahweh struck the people with terrible plague. Therefore, the name of that place was Kiravoth-Hata'avah, terrible plague. Therefore, graves of greed, that's it. Because they were buried, there they buried the people who were so greedy. From Kiravoth-Hata'avah, the people traveled to Hatzorot, and they stayed at Hatzorot. Interesting.
Yep.
So why do you think, after giving the people what they wanted, all that quail, they would be struck down with the plague thereafter?
But probably because they weren't popping the heads off the quail and letting them be bled out in the field. They were just grabbing and stuffing it in, maybe raw, without even cooking it. Chapter 12, verse 1. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
Miriam and Aaron began criticizing Moshe on account of the Ethiopian woman he had married. He married a black woman.
Oh, God.
They said, is it true that Yahweh has spoken only with Moshe? Hasn't he also speaking with us too? Yahweh heard them. Now this man, Moshe, was very humble and more so than anyone else. Keep in mind whose hand is writing this.
Moshe.
This sounds just like God making Moses write this. And Moses wrote this with his own pen in his own hand. And it says, and Moses was a very humble, more so than anyone on earth. Now, what humble man could write that?
No. But he had to write everything that God ordered him to write.
That's exactly right. Suddenly Yahweh told Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam, come out, you three, to the tent of the meeting. And the three of them went out. Yahweh came down in a column of cloud and stood at the entrance of the tent. He summoned Aaron and Miriam, and they both went forward. He said, listen to what I say. When there is a prophet among you, I, Yahweh, make myself known unto him in a vision. I speak with him in a dream. But it isn't that way with my servant Moses. He is the only one who is faithful in my entire household. With him I speak face to face. Panim el panim. And clearly, not in riddles, he sees the image of Yahweh. So why weren't you afraid to criticize my servant Moses? The anger of Yahweh flared up against him, and he left. When the cloud was removed from above the tent, Miriam had tzara'at, as white as snow, leprosy. Aaron looked at Miriam, and she was as white as snow. Aaron said to Moses, oh, my Lord, please don't punish us for this sin we committed so foolishly. Please don't let her be like a stillborn baby with its body half eaten away when it comes up out of its mother's womb.
How in the world would he have that analogy to speak?
Because that's what leprosy does to people. So Moses cried to Yahweh, oh God, I beg you, please heal her. Yahweh answered Moses, if her father had merely spit in her face, wouldn't she hide herself in shame for 7 days? So let her be shut out of the camp for 7 days. After that, she can be brought back in. Miriam was shut out of the camp for 7 days, and the people did not travel until she was brought back in. Afterwards, the people went on from Hatzerot and camped at Paran in the Paran desert. End of Parsha. Just because they say, doesn't God also speak to us?
Yeah. Pride, jealousy, the thirst for power, the desire
And I guess
for
he didn't really
control.
put anything on Aaron since he was the lead priest.
Mm-hmm.
But he made him suffer by the way he.
Well,
looked
he
at
suffered because his sister had turned white with leprosy, and
right in
here he
front
is
of him.
looking at it. Next week's Parsha is Shalom. Send men on your behalf. That's going to be found in Numbers chapter 13.
Ooh.
Numbers chapter 13, beginning in verse 1 through 15:41. That's probably the end of chapter 15. So be sure and join us next week for another exciting adventure through the Torah.
Amen. So, you brought up a great point about how God addressed, as he put it, these greedy people. who obviously, upon this quail storm, so to speak, maybe quail tsunami it would
That's
be
more
a
like-
more better analogy.
Yeah.
Pissed off, but the way in order, pissed off God, and think that would also be an element of mercy and animal cruelty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't imagine that, eating those quail without even killing them.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's probably what was going on.
Mhm.
They were so hungry for meat, they're
They
just
were
going to grab it and eat
went
it.
and-
Ugh.
I mean, that's actually been documented in nations that have suffered in the years past, even probably today. When they finally get food, they like
Attack it.
attack it, and they'll kill anybody that's there, but because they're just so greedy and
Stampede
grabbing
over
it.
each other to death.
Well, I could see maybe eating locusts that way, but I can't see eating quail that way.
It's horrendous.
Mm.
Rabbi,
Yes.
you suppose that the way, because the Lord acted that way on them, is because they really weren't appreciative to what he was doing?
That probably that
Yeah.
too.
Absolutely,
Seriously.
that's a part of it.
Yep, that's major because
I think that
Additionally, he was using Israel as an example for the Gentiles who were coming in to the community of faith.
right.
They need to wake up and read the Bible and understand that God gave them warning signs along the way of what would
Right.
happen if they do the same thing.
and that is happening.
Yes, it is.
After raising quail myself, I do know if you do not properly cook it or prep it, it will make you sick and can kill you.
Okay, well, there you go.
Wow.
It's just with like a lot of other food, meat food, animals. You don't.
I mean, they
prep it.
have all the feathers and everything. I mean, you're not supposed to. Oh God.
Oh, they would rip the feathers out and it's still alive and they start chewing on it. Ugh.
Yeah.
So, Rabbi,
Yes.
in this Torah Parashat, it spoke a lot about the silver trumpets. When did the shofar ever get introduced? The
It was
the
first.
ram's horn.
That was the preferred choice instrument of the shepherds as they were guiding their flocks. That was early.
Oh, that's
Sure.
right.
That was the first horn. You get it, horn?
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Is that the reason why I crave to play a trumpet?
Could be. Any other comments or questions on the Torah Parsha?
Yeah. It was.
Well, in
Really
case you're
nice.
watching, hello, Steve.
Oh.
And then there's another one. Huh? Oh, Donna. Hi, Donna. And then there's another one. I just got an email from him today, and now my brain won't pull it up. What's his name? You can't remember? Well, that's all right. Hi, all of you who have been contacting me. Thank you for writing, and thank you for visiting, and I'm glad you're watching tonight. If you are, and if you're not, you should repent, because this is brought every week into your home at
Well,
7
But
p.m.
we have no internet right now, so just record it.
We'll upload it afterwards.
Okay.
We can't always get it online the night that we produce it, but we can save it on a thumb drive and then
Sorry
take
to
it
break
to
the
a
sixth
locally
dimension.
accessible place where we can upload it through Sprint or AT&T, and it'll go out.
Okay.
He's been corrected. Don't worry.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed the study. Please join us again next Tuesday night for our weekly parsha for Shalom, send forth on your behalf. And so he's going to be sending out people to tour the land of Israel. And it's where we get our word tour, because the Hebrew word is tour.
Tour.
Mhm.
Tour.
And They call it in here to spy out the land. Well, there are a lot of people spy out the land by taking a tour before they come and attack us. You got to be careful with those people that are coming just to spy out the land, okay?
That's right.
All right. Well, I hope to see you next week, and may God smile upon you and be gracious to you all week long.
Amen.
Thank you for joining us for another delightful evening of Torah study. Remember that we have a weekly Shabbat service as appointed by Yahweh himself, according to Genesis 2 and in Exodus 22, keeping the seventh day holy, and it is the Shabbat. And so we are meeting at 10 a.m. Saturday morning with Bible's Issues class, followed by our main service at 11 a.m. with teaching, worship, and liturgy. And I kind of said that backwards. It's worship, liturgy, and more teaching. Well, we shall see you again. Shalom, shalom.